Good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode number 39 of the RDO podcast. As always, with the Auto Bros, Jason, Alex, One Cannell. How are you this morning, bro?
I'm good. A little bit miserable outside, but I am coming off a very relaxing day yesterday. Yesterday being Friday, Tash and I went to these cenote bathhouse yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
Chilled out in like a steam room and sauna and magnesium plunge pool.
Nice.
And a spa bath. It was very nice.
How's the body feeling?
Yeah, it's alright.
Alright.
Yeah.
Because
I
normally,
slept well.
yeah. Because you would have trained on Thursday Arvo as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's Saturday morning now, so you trained Thursday Arvo baths yesterday. Because all like the magnesium baths and stuff are supposed to help with your muscle recovery. And
I'm still sore from Thursday.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm still very sore from Thursday.
Yeah.
Not like can't function or anything.
Mm.
And I feel like upper body pain is nowhere near as bad as lower body pain.
Yeah.
But I can definitely feel it. And I didn't on Friday, and I thought, oh sweet, I'm a machine. Didn't feel Thursday's activities, and then like Friday afternoon, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, fair enough.
This hurts.
Well, speaking of bad weather, because obviously it has been raining a little bit outside, someone who did make it rain was the Brisbane Broncos.
Did they win a game?
We won a game.
Is that the first?
No, that's second.
Out of how many?
Out of, I think it's round 8 this week. But set records because we were down 22-0 in the first half, and we came back to win, I think it was 36-28.
Now, not watching the game, could it have been did they just win the mental aspect of it, and the other team lost the mental aspect of it, thinking that they're steamrolling the easy to defeat Broncos?
Look, I think that's part of it. So they played the Titans, and it's interesting because the Titans have been talked about going into the season as a really strong team and potentially going to challenge in the finals. Not win it, but we're actually going to make finals. They're not living up to their promise at all. Like, I think they've only had 3 wins from 8 games.
Right.
And what's interesting is that they start really fast every week, because they did this last week too. They put some points on the board, and then it's like, I don't know if they just get complacent and they go away from what was working for them beforehand. But same story. So went up 22-0. In fairness, they were so clinical with the ball. Brisbane pretty much never got set for like the first, 10, 15 minutes, you know? I think that the Titans had like 7 sets and scored 4 tries from 7 sets or something like that.
But that's a low ratio too, isn't it? For the amount of sets. Oh, no. Sorry, no, it's not.
No.
Yeah.
But look, really, when I look at the game and I take my Broncos coloured glasses off, it was 2 teams who can both attack, who have very poor defense. So all that happened was, as soon as the possession of the ball started to even out a little bit, the Broncos started pouring points on as well, because both teams have some really, really solid attacking players and terrible defense. So I think that's really more what it was. I
like how that's your idea of taking your Broncos tinted glasses off, is to rag on both of teams equally.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if you go up 22-0 the first 20 minutes of a game, and then you lose the next 60 minutes 36-6, that means you've got terrible defense.
Yeah, for sure. But don't preamble this conversation by saying, now let me stop defending Broncos.
No. I'm having a go at the Broncos.
No, you're having your tinted version of the goal at the Broncos. Because you weren't critical of the Broncos, you were critical of both teams equally.
Well, the Broncos won. So yeah, I was critical of both teams equally. Because the Broncos have been...
Hence the reason why you don't say in advance, I'm going to take my Broncos tinted glasses off.
Yeah, because what I don't want to say is that the Broncos are premiership favourites now because they had such an amazing game. Yeah. Because they really did it. They just went up against a team who couldn't defend.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. But in saying that, it was good to have a win. It was just good to have a win. We had a new halfback, Tyson Gamble, making his debut, young boy from up here who's been doing really well in the Queensland Cup. Played really well, brought a lot of energy, didn't shirk away from the contest for a young guy, so that was really good to see. So hopefully him and Milford had a good game too. My mate, shout out to Patrick, he made a note that Milford looks like he's lost a lot of weight, because he's always had like a lot of puppy fat around his face and that sort of thing. and he got dropped for, I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks. I think it was just a week. I just wonder if they've just gone, it's you, because he's off contract at the end of the season. He was on $1 million a year. Now he's off contract. I reckon most teams are like, if we can pick him up for $300,000 or $400,000, like we'll do it. Otherwise, we wouldn't bother. Just with how he has played.
Right.
So I wonder if now he's like, shit. Now I'm playing for my next contract. Yeah. He might actually be on a diet, like proper diet.
Vegan.
Potentially, you never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like he's lost a fair bit of weight. He looked fast. He looked sharp. So look, hopefully we can just keep those halves together for a little while and start getting a combination, because we pretty much change our halves combination every week. This year, which has not really been good for results. So
who's at the top of the leaderboard?
Top of the table, Panthers.
Okay.
Panthers should win it this year.
Why?
Well, they haven't lost a game, for a start. Now, it's pretty much impossible in the NRL to go through a whole season undefeated, and they will start losing games over the Origin period because they'll lose heaps of players to State of Origin duty. The Panthers have just got... Like, they talk about having windows to win a comp in all sports. This is the Panthers' window now. They've got a squad of good young kids who've all come through the grades together, and they probably really only got this year where they can afford all of these players because of the... Like, they made the grand final last year and lost to the Storm.
Yep. Which,
again, there's no shame in losing to the most successful team of the last 20 years. Well... with the asterisk premierships taken off them for salary sombrero issues, but anyway. But they've got that good young squad, which I do feel like the values of all these players are starting to skyrocket on the market. So at the end of this year, because of the salary cap, there's a fair chance they'll lose a lot of those good young players because they can't afford to re-sign them all, unless those players take the pay cut, which...
They're not going to do it.
They wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Why would you?
See, they're in that sweet spot.
Yeah. So... I really do feel like this year is their year, and the two other teams that were probably touted at the start of the season to give them a run was the Storm and the Roosters, because they're always up there. The Storm are going well, so they'll be a contender. The Roosters have had a massive amount of major injuries. Like, they lost both their halves for the whole season in one game a few weeks ago. Now, they're still winning games and still going well. I just don't know if they're going to have the depth towards the end of the season to be able to keep everyone on the park to keep playing well. So, realistically, the Panthers should win it. Souths look really good too. So there is probably still going to be...
the Raiders?
They're not doing well. I don't think they're in the 8.
Good, because I need that for trash talk for tomorrow's game.
Yeah. Because actually both of Robbie's teams, so I think he's a Raiders and a Titans supporter, and they're both not going great.
Yeah, good. I'll use that. I'll use that.
Yeah.
So we're playing golf tomorrow, and I'm going to try...
Weather permitting. Hopefully the weather's good.
And I'm going to try and rally a little bit of a wager.
We'll post the scorecard.
Yeah, we'll put the scorecard
on the socials.
Yeah, but there's two things that I need to win, and it's a strong first hole. Is the first, and usually to tee off first. Yeah. So I know that you're going to try not to, but if I have to, I tend to get there before you. Even though I travel from Brisbane and it's around the corner from your house.
Yeah, but it's the same as me coming up here. I think it's always the people who come from a longer distance who get there first because they leave with time.
For sure.
Whereas just this morning, I have to go an hour and you're late.
Oh, no, I was not late.
You're late.
You set the parameters. I was in bed when you said that you were coming. So we'll put a little wager on. We'll bet a little bit of Dogecoin.
A little bit of Doge.
Yeah, so... And Liam, don't think that I've forgotten about our little wager either. I remember. So I'll send you my Doge address. You know, I bought one. So even though I've been in and out of Dogecoin a few times, I just bought one so that it shows up on my,
on your the top cryptos, so you can see how it's going. And,
so I can keep an eye on it. So there is a tweet that's going out about May 8. Never forget May 8. Or something. So. I don't know if there's going to be another...
From Elon, the Doge father?
No, on the Doge Twitter page, so we'll see. But Doge is the devil. It will giveth and it will taketh away.
It's the world's most valuable, worthless commodity.
Yeah. There's something like a trillion in circulation or something.
Well, yeah, at one point too, wasn't it like the fifth highest crypto as far as market capitalization goes?
Yeah, and all the XRP
crazy.
boys got really angry.
Mm.
So crypto's on a bit of a surge, but what I don't know if we spoke about it last. No, we definitely didn't speak about it last time, but we've had two significant corrections in crypto. And I just want to say to the people that are new, that weren't here in 2017, imagine 5 or 6 of those in a row where you lose 20% or 30% in a day. That's what comes at the end of the cycle.
Yeah.
And people saying, oh, it's different this time, there's more money in it. Yeah, there is. It's the exact same conversation that was happening last time. It moves in 4-year cycles. And even if you look now at the price of Bitcoin, we're at this precipice now, it either goes to 100 grand Aussie, or it's just going to slowly stagnate and start to peel down. The altcoins will have this big surge, so that's where all my positions are in altcoins. And then there'll be a big pump, but after that pump, like, you're going to get to that stage where you think it's never going to stop. It's going to feel so good. You're going to be making multiples, and then and it's all gone. So just prepare for that. And people that think that it's not going to happen, I hope you're willing to hold it. Do not sell. Hold it.
Yeah.
Because in 4 years' time, we'll see you again, and you'll be happy again.
Yeah.
Now I've had a little bit of free time because work has been very quiet, very quiet. So I've been playing with a little project in my brain, and I want to build it's called a DApp, decentralized application. I want to build a DApp. I think on the Polkadot network, that's the one that I have done some research in and realised would be really good for what I want to do. So I don't know if there's any listeners out there that have the ability to develop dApps. Hit me up. And I would also like this community that we have here to grow, so that we can collaborate more, we can build this thing together, and I think it will be something that will be very, very cool. Very cool. Everyone I've told about this idea has thought it's great. It's really good. I think that building it in crypto using smart contracts automates a lot of the things that are currently manual in non-crypto builds. But I also think the advantage of going to crypto is that you've got a very loyal following, and it's the future. Let's be real.
Yeah.
It's the future. I tried to buy something on the internet the other night, and my MasterCard wasn't working. Just wouldn't. It was said processing payment. Nothing ever happened. And then they had a pay with BitPay. Click the button, pops a QR code up, pull my phone out, scan it, send it, done. Right. So it's the future. And
what were you like? Not what were you buying? What website were you on?
I can't remember.
Because do you not to be too conspiratorial, but do you think perhaps that website has put like a, if they try to pay with MasterCard, we'll make the payment fuck up 5 times to try to encourage them to pay in cryptos?
Well, then it does show the Visa MasterCard at the top and the BitPay below. So if they're trying to push it, I don't know. I think it's more so.
And what crypto did you use to pay with?
Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So,
which is probably not a bad time to use Bitcoin to buy stuff with too.
Well, I think there's not going to be a good or bad time. Now at the beginning, I always thought you'd never use it. It's too relatively it's too slow because I don't like paying the exorbitant gas fees, so I use the slow payment option. But even the slow payment option whips a bank.
Yeah.
So and now that it's becoming easier, like just scanning a QR code that already has the price embedded in it, instead of like the function is easier than using your integrated MasterCard on my through my browser. It's even easier than that.
Yeah.
And it's more secure because it's two-factor. Like it's my phone connected to my computer,
Yeah.
as opposed to just the computer. Like if someone just jumped on my browser, they've got access to my credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So, why would we not use that?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah. So,
and even with things like you're saying, two-factor authentication to make a payment, I'll always remember back when tap to pay first came out, and this is why I'm fat. But I used to remember the signs that when you go through the Macca's drive-through, and originally when that came out, that they would still require you to sign for it. So you'd tap, but you'd have to sign. But then it changed, and I'm sure it was an efficiency thing where anything that you purchase under $30, they no longer require a signature.
Mm.
Now, I also think that perhaps they realised that they were missing out on some of the fraud market where people had picked up someone's wallet and there was a credit card in there and they could go and tap for some Macca's.
I don't think that. I just think it's
probably an efficiency
because I sat in KFC with Pat and gave him my credit card. He goes, "No, you need to sign for it." I said, "Just sign for it." He signed O Bin Laden, and they never check. So it's just a dumb thing.
Yeah, fair enough. And now obviously you can tap for anything under $100.
In America, they still have a thing where you tap, and on the back of your credit card, you've written CID. Right. So when you pay, you pull out your ID, and then they compare the name on the card to the name on the ID.
That's like a two-factor authentication process, isn't it?
But why not integrate it? You know, and Bitcoin does do it. So someone would need to have your phone, have access to your crypto wallet on your phone, as well as be doing this transaction. I think it's great, and even just how it's literally just a QR code.
Yeah, it's
a QR code. You know, there's some. So when I have to pay car sales and carsales.com.au, you are one of the worst to use interfaces for a business. It's insane. So Gumtree, for example. So I have cars in Gumtree. I get sent an invoice. The invoice is there. I be paid. Done. Car sales says you have a bill. Here's your bill. Go to the portal and pay on the portal, which I'd be okay with too. Except the pay your bill tab is almost unfindable. It's in other apps. Pay my bill.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And then once you go to the bill pay section, it's an empty form that I need to fill in. Yeah. What's your invoice number? What's your name? How much is it? Why am I in the portal? The portal is supposed to bring all your information across. Yeah. So like and you're the most expensive. You suck. Yeah. You suck. Your model is 5 times more expensive than what Gumtree is. You you haven't coached your customers in a way that helps the customer and helps the dealer, i.e. you're quite happy to generate leads from across the country knowing that deal will never happen. Yeah. And the interface sucks. And even from the fact that you've got a lead, so it sends me an email, you've got a lead, it doesn't give you the lead information there. And even if I click the link to go straight to it, it won't use my phone's authentication process to just put me in there, log in. And then it'll say use the app. The app is so clunky. It sucks. Yeah. It sucks. You really need to sort it out. And this is no secret. They've called me and I've told them. I've had, and I think they're in a mad dash because their usership is going through the floor. Yeah. So make things simple. So that's one thing with my DApp that I want to create is I want it to be seamless in how it.
There's just no excuse for things not to be seamless these days. We've got the technology, we've got the know-how, and things like you're talking about QR codes, for example. One of the things that would have been anti-QR code 2 years ago was that the majority of the population didn't really know how to use them. Now, we've all been coached into using them because you've got to use a QR code whenever you go anywhere at the moment. Yeah. So now that's one of those bits of technology which all of a sudden has become mainstream, which therefore means that next step of being able to use it for crypto-based payments, it's already integrated into our lives anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
The other thing I want to ask the community, put your comments below on what you think about this. So I have a theory. Apps are dead.
Apps are dead.
Apps are dead.
Right.
Because the amount of effort that goes into building, very expensive to build an Apple app, and an Apple app doesn't seamlessly integrate into an Android app, so you need to make two different apps for the same thing. The verification process when Apple decides that they like it or do not like it, okay, they can reject it. Same as Google. Google's a little bit more Wild West than Apple. Apple takes 15% of anything that you make on there just for providing the marketplace. Google takes 15, I think, as well. But now you can get a web browser. The web browsers are becoming more and more advanced, where the web browser can outperform an app because now, imagine it like this. So let's say if I built something and I built just a web version of it, well, the upgrades come from Microsoft or Brave or whichever browser I'm using. They upgrade their browsers to meet new security criteria and whatever. Whereas if you're the app developer, you need to go back to your developer and say, hey, they've just made a change. We need to change it. We need to update it.
Yeah.
And also, now a lot of the browsers you can, and you would not play with this because you don't play in the space. Some Edge browser, Microsoft's Edge browser, you can click a button and say, turn this into an app. And it'll make it mobile friendly, desktop friendly.
Really?
Yeah. And then it will add an icon. So why would you go and spend the 10, 15, 20, 100, 200, $300,000 on create an app when you can just do it?
True. Well, that's just how all these things work, right? Like Canva is a perfect example of this. Have you used Canva? So Canva is just like an online service which you can either use some free stuff or you can pay a subscription to it to get more features, which you can use for like graphic designing things.
Sure.
So for our RDO podcast logo, that was designed on Canva for free. And Canva, you can literally do things that you used to have to pay big money for a graphic designer to actually create for you. Like you can just go on there and muck around with it and you can do that stuff. Canva actually, if you're thinking about stocks, that'll be a stock to watch when they eventually list. Because I read an article the other day that once they do list, they're thinking that Canva might be 5 times larger than Afterpay. So if you could get in sooner, because they're already massively profitable now, just off subscriptions. So it's something to keep an eye on for any stock.
Yeah, what's the ticker? What's the stock ticker?
Don't know yet because they haven't listed. So,
Yeah.
So, but once they do, like, just keep an eye out for Canva and then
I don't IPO.
No.
The only time IPOs make money are for the people that have the stock prior to the IPO. Because you're building up all this madness before, and all the people that hold stocks, like off-market stocks prior to that, they're just waiting for it.
Yeah.
And whatever that price is, it's often really high, and they tend to
drop off.
Yeah, drop off. Like even so, Coinbase was the biggest one recently. That I don't know what the numbers are, but even Tasha had said to me, "Oh, you're going to get on the Coinbase IPO because I should. It's a crypto exchange that's going to go public." And I was like, no, I'd never IPO because you're just buying at this perceived price of what it's worth.
Yeah.
And then everyone starts to sell.
Yeah.
With all the people that
just drops off.
Yeah. So I don't IPO.
Yeah, fair enough. But anyway, so getting back to what we were talking about before, so you would assume that because of how economies work, that the cost of someone to produce an app for you should drastically reduce now. Because the demand isn't there, because they're not a gatekeeper anymore between you having an app and you not having an app. If you can just go on Microsoft Edge and go, make this an app, well, it's probably not going to be as professional an app as someone who is an app developer can give you. But then you've got that sort of cost benefit average that you've got to weigh up between the two of, okay, well, how much is it going to cost me compared to how much more professional is that app going to be? Or do I just need to invest my own time in spending time on Edge to actually create things myself that are functional?
So the downside of using a web-based one is that you can't use some of the functionality that your phone offers.
Yeah.
For example, you can't have fingerprint authentication.
Yeah.
You can't use your phones. You can't access your phone's camera when it's on your web thing.
Yeah.
So, but for my app ID, I don't need any of that.
Yeah, cool.
That stuff. So I'm thinking, and having seen some really, really, really slick ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the other thing I don't like about apps is that apps tend not to work on your computer. So I hate, let's say, even texting, right? And Facebook has addressed this by having Messenger, like Facebook on your desktop, Facebook on your phone, and the messengers correlate. And I think Telegram, you can log in as well and have. So if I'm on the computer, I don't want to be texting on my phone when I could just be sitting on the computer and type it. Apps tend not, unless they're the really big expensive ones, tend not to integrate well between those two platforms.
Yeah, Instagram's the worst.
Instagram's the worst.
That's really what turned me off really pushing the social media stuff. And it's probably a bit of a laziness thing, but I think it's more so a time thing where all the videos and everything that you see on Instagram, you actually have to go through a third-party application to be able to upload those things to Instagram, because Instagram doesn't allow you to post from a computer. And I understand that the whole point of Instagram is to be a phone-based app. I get it. But why would you reduce functionality?
Yeah.
Like, if the whole point is you're a platform we want people to put content up for people to go to and watch so you can sell them advertising, why would you reduce the amount of content that you can post on your application? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's funny knowing some of the employees that we've worked for in the past. If you sat there and you're in a marketing department, you're sitting on your phone all day, they'll think you're mooching.
Oh yeah.
When
you're not doing any work.
Are limited, you're not allowed. You can't use your desktop.
That's right.
And not just spend mega money on my desktop. I want to get some use out of it. But yeah, so if there's any developers out there, it's a really good idea. I'm at the stage now. I understand the concept. I've got the picture in my mind. I'll start to draw up what the pages look like. So and what each step to the process looks like, and share it around. If you've got a friend that's a developer, share the podcast. You can find us through there. That's easy enough. But I would love to build it as a community. And if we build this community, we'll all benefit as a community, because I think it's got some very long legs in it. Also, we'll throw it out there too. Any of you out there who are potentially an app developer or something like that, if you want to come onto the podcast and talk about it, come on, hit us up. Yeah, because we'd love to have you on here, because obviously it's something that we're both interested in, but we don't have the technical knowledge behind it. Yeah. So any of you out there who do, hit us up and we'll get you on here and we'll have a chat about it. It'd be great. Yeah, especially in the crypto. See, I feel like I've just ragged on app developers. Yeah. But I think you need to be looking in the future and what the trend is in the future. And I know for a fact that the app downloads are reducing, but I think there's less fresh stuff coming to the market, because I think it's also like anything too, in that apps were really big when there was only a few mainstream ones. And then obviously everyone had seen how successful a lot of those mainstream apps were. So then everyone created apps and there was a lot of buzz around a lot of things. Now it's just become a part of day-to-day life. And I think that the majority of people, especially younger people, our generation and younger, they probably only really use 5 or 6 apps on a day-to-day basis that they regularly use. And the majority of them will be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Yeah. All the social media apps, they're going to be the majority. I do think that there's still a lot of value and a lot of, in the space of creating a good app for, like, health and fitness apps, for example. They can be a really, really good thing as far as keeping people motivated, tracking calorie intake, all that sort of stuff. In the past, the things that I haven't liked about those, again, any developers out there who want to do a good one, the amount of data input that you have to do yourself. Like, I've used them before, and you end up sitting there just trying to put in everything you've eaten all day and stuff like that. It's too hard. Yeah. All that sort of stuff's too hard. So anything that you can do to streamline that sort of thing, where maybe you could, I don't know, take a photo of it and it can tell everything that's in there. And if you watch Silicon Valley yet? No. They make that app, but Jing Yang makes it. Right. It can tell you if it's a pizza or not a pizza. Could be useful. Sorry, I'm not saying don't make apps. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's a massive amount of innovation there. I'm saying don't necessarily invest the time. Consider what a web browser version of that thing looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So the fitness one, for example, is probably a better app than it is a web app, because you might want to use, like, some Samsungs have heartbeat monitors on them, whereas you can't use that functionality when through the web. But I'm not saying don't make apps. I'm saying stay creative. I'm just saying consider, and if you're an app developer, have you considered potentially mastering your skills in web app developing?
Yeah.
Because in my view, my futuristic view, I think that will be the future.
Yeah, because we don't even know what the next thing's going to be. Like, apps haven't been around for that long, but all of a sudden apps are, we're basically cyborgs now, where our apps are integrated into ourselves as to how we relate to the world around us every single day. But we don't know what the next thing's going to be. So apps are...
I would say.
Did you know that apps were coming before the iPhone came out?
No.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, right?
No.
Like, so
I did have a theory that phones would stop being called phones and just be called, like, this is... I remember when I got the first iPhone, I remember thinking this. It's not going to be a phone anymore. The phone's going to be 1% of the thing, and you'll call it like an app device or something like that.
Yeah, okay.
A better name than that. But...
Yeah. Well, they call them devices now, right?
They do call it a device, yeah. And I think it's funny now, people... I saw a meme this morning. It was like me holding my phone, waiting for it to stop so I can text them back, and waiting for the ring to stop to tell them, like, ask who this is.
Yeah.
And that's just another sign of human communication evolving.
Well, I've even finally been able to use the function on my phone too, where it blocks calls that it thinks are scammers.
Are you getting more scamming calls?
Since I've done that thing, because the phone doesn't actually ring, it just comes up at the end going, we blocked this call. So I'm still getting calls, but I just...
Amazon? Are you getting that one?
I haven't had the Amazon one.
The Amazon Prime account.
Actually, no, I have had that one, sorry.
Your account is being activated for $36.
Yeah.
I tried to get through to them so I could talk to them. Hey, listen here, please.
Yeah. Now, I had a lot from the ATO about my outstanding tax bill.
The robocall.
Yeah, that my tax file number is being cancelled or something,
yeah, cool.
And the police are being alerted.
Yeah.
Like, police, I pay your wages. I own you. Right?
Well, I think there's a lot, and put in the comments below if you've been getting, because I think I've been getting way more scam calls than ever before.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think it's a two-way street. I think, number one, data security has completely lapsed in the last 12 months because of all the contact tracing stuff.
Yep.
That's number one. But number two, I think that probably more people have seen an opportunity in scamming
for sure
over the last 12 months as well. You've got people at home who couldn't normally answer their phones while they're at work, for example. You've also got people who are, broke, who might look at getting into scamming to try to make some money. It's definitely gotten worse in the last 4 months.
I listened to a podcast about it, and they actually interviewed someone that was tasked with going undercover at one of these. It's big business. Overseas is big business. They run
it's big business over here.
A call center. Yeah, I don't know if they are located here.
Some are. Like, there was raids on, they call them boiler rooms, a year or two ago, I think, on the Gold Coast.
Wow.
Like, they're here too. It's huge business.
Yeah.
And they treat them like a business.
Yeah,
like,
they do. They have KPIs to me.
Yep.
You'd get, like, review meetings that you haven't scammed. Your scam rate is at 6%. You need to be at 4%
that's right.
or something like
that. Yeah, it's just crazy.
It is. Yeah, it is full on. But yeah, if you've been hit up, just put it in the comments, because it'll be interesting to see if it's, because I want to know. I would love to build like a cross section of who they target. Like, so now that you've got that feature on your phone, and your phone, Apple does it better than what Samsung will say suspected scam on it, and you can still have the option to answer it. Now, am I doing a problem because I want to hear them? So I answer, and I love having the chat. Like I had one the other day. Oh, I'm your power company,
Mm.
and we've got this new deal. And then he asked me who my power company is. And I'm like, well, you are.
Yeah.
Like you've told me, you are my power company.
Mm.
Yeah, but what company is it? Yeah, well, what company do you work for? Like, you tell me.
Mm.
Right? And I was just going through circles, and I could tell that it was getting off his script, and he had no way to get back.
The problem is too that something to consider about these things, like for people like you and me, we have worked in an industry which was about winning conversations for a long period of time. So we're very, very used to that. And we're pretty quick to tell when we're being sold something because that's what we used to do. Most people aren't like that. And I'll give you an example. So during the week, Amanda and I went to an appointment, and essentially, I'm not going to go into specifics of it, but essentially, there was a point in time in the appointment. Now, this was for a service where the service provider realized that our time frame wasn't a now thing; it was a down the track thing.
Okay, and they switched off.
They didn't switch off. They started avoiding talking about price.
Okay.
And I asked the question about 4 times before they could give me a quote. And it was all the typical salesy stuff of, but it won't be relevant because it'll probably shift by then and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But being a salesperson, I'm like, I know what you're doing. You're trying not to give me a quote because I've now got 12 months to shop you.
Yeah.
Right? Now, speaking to Amanda afterwards, I was like, did you notice that when this, that, and the other happened? And she's like, oh, no, not really.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, because our brains are tuned into that stuff. So what concerns me is if I get a phone call from someone who is trying to scam me, I can sniff it out in 2 seconds. A lot of people out there can't, because a lot of people out there have never been involved in sales it can be a pretty combative role sometimes, right? Like, so some of the conversations that we've had with people are pretty difficult, and you've always got to keep your sales face on and be professional. So I think sometimes too, and this is why you like receiving those phone calls, because it allows you to go the polar opposite and just blow off some steam. Because you have to take the good with the bad from your business and the people who call your business. So when you get a scam phone call, you can just unleash and
there's probably an aspect of that. Like the one that I had in Aldi.
Yeah, you can just have a go, and like that can be fun.
Yeah.
Right. But I think a lot of people who have never been in a sales role or
haven't thought of the conversation to be used as a weapon.
Yeah, that's right. Like, and they're probably the ones who could be scammed too. And you might have someone as well who they might just get lucky, and this is how the scammers make a lot of money too. But like that one from the ATO, for example, you might call someone, probably an older person who is less tech savvy and doesn't get on the internet, know what all the scams are, who maybe has had issues with the ATO in the past. And then they freak out and they go, oh no, I need to pay this thing right now.
Yeah.
Because the reality is the reason why scamming's going up is because it's effective. It works. There are people out there getting scammed every single day.
I don't think scamming's going up. This is my whole thing. I don't think anything's going up. I think everything is the same. I think there's been scammers, like you could read a book from 1,000 years ago.
The Bible.
2,000 years ago.
Yeah, Immaculate Conception.
Okay, so there was that one where Moses got the call that he owed money to the Roman tax office.
Yeah, that's right. The treasury,
the
Roman treasury,
almost lost the funding for the ark.
Yeah,
and lucky he was onto it.
Yeah.
So
Jesus actually got strung up because of his unpaid gambling.
So I think it's always happened, and it's probably something built into. And I'm sure if because you love that biology side of things, there's probably something prehistorically built inside. Like there would have been scammers, or like if I had to guess, I would have thought in hunter-gatherer days there will be, while some people out there hunting, there's some sneaky one that's weaker, gathering some of the labours from someone else.
Look, that is the key, and that's why I guess you've always seen it portrayed that way in film. That the scammers are always like the little Weasley guy, because back in hunter-gatherer days, the strong men would have gone out and done the hunting that the little Weasley guy probably couldn't do. So to find a way to survive and gain some resources, they obviously had to think more. They had to be smarter.
That's what Bobby Lee said he'd do. He'd
Yeah.
be like just stealing from.
Yeah. Exactly. And look,
So I would dare say that that stuff's happened forever.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
agreed.
there is an uptick in cyber scamming, but there's probably a downtick in people knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, I'll sell you this." Do you know what I mean? Like it would have just it's just.
Oh,
converted.
that's actually been one of the worst things about being a stay-at-home parent. The door knockers. Because I didn't even realise that we got door knockers.
Yeah.
We still get them.
Is that what hawkers? Is that what they call a hawker?
Yeah, I think so.
And what's the other word? No hawkers or... There was an old school thing. When I was growing up, you used to see it on people's letterboxes or whatever, and all their doors. It would say no hawkers, and there's another word. Put it in the comments if you know.
I used to get offended every time I went and visited my sister-in-law's place because she had a sign on the front saying no sales.
Yeah.
Thank you. But now I'm not a salesperson anymore, so now I don't care. I'm like, yeah, fuck those guys.
Impay, mate. Shout out to Impay. His old office. It would say on the front, no salesman. And I'm like, dude, we're friends.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Yeah, we're friends.
Yeah.
I've sold him cars.
Yeah.
So, but...
You're right. Look, scammers have been around forever and they'll always be around. With new technologies that come out, that creates new opportunities for scammers, and they're always better at it than what the average person is because they put the effort in, they do the research, and they figure out what the exploit is.
If you concentrate on what the exploit is, you'll find it. If you concentrate on what your own exploit is, you probably can't get exploited.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, he's right.
Now, I've been scammed in the past. I got scammed. I remember when Tash and I were in Paris, and there was like some street gambling, and they were just winning. There was just guys just winning, and we got caught up in it.
Yeah,
and we dropped €150 or something like that.
Yep.
So now I've learned from that, and we'll never do that again. But there were a lot of things that, like that FOMO, that taught me the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
How powerful that is. Same as my Dogecoin
so powerful
Sunday thing, you know, gambling on.
Unfortunately, that FOMO is how all of us make money out of crypto. Because at the end of the day, when these things go to the moon and then everyone cashes in their profits, some people are still left holding the bag at that higher amount. That's how you make money out of it. So that the whole crypto space of buying and selling cryptos and trading to make money off that, you're essentially making money off someone else who FOMO'd in and then is holding at the wrong time.
Not necessarily pure FOMO, and it's not just a crypto thing, it's any market. Any market is, like they're doing it with housing right now. Think about the news. The news is going, oh, people paying 20% more. It's so hard for people to get in. What are they doing? They're hyping it up.
That's right, hyping it up. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, it's going to push the price up. So it's just like when the news will talk about this new company all of a sudden, or, you know, there's a lot of, and it's not necessarily, like, just because you made money doesn't mean someone else lost money. Someone else might see value in it. And from a pure investment viewpoint, you selling now compared to you holding it forever or a longer period of time, like the Bitcoin hodlers, they're winning.
Oh yeah.
So you're exchanging value on time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And it is one of those things too where, like, it's probably one of the philosophies that I want to change a little bit with my crypto is that I was looking at crypto as like a short-term gains type thing. So again, trying to trade, trying to ride up the ramps up and then get off and all that sort of stuff. And then the more I look at it, the more I'm like, I'm probably better off just treating it like my normal share portfolio, where I'm just investing money into it and then just riding it for a long period of time, and then just letting it grow. Because, you know, you're exactly right. Like if you're a Bitcoin, if you're one of the unlucky people who missed the sell-off in 2017 of Bitcoin, and you held it the entire time, then you'd be miles in front now. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, again, like, for example, I've been starting watching the stock market every day, see what the stock market's doing. and it was like 2 weeks ago that the ASX crashed. I say crashed, it went down like
2%.
2% or something, which was it was just on high every day,
Yeah.
and then it went backwards, and then again, you just think of the psychology of the stock market. If it's up, doesn't matter by how much, but if it's up, it's green. But if it's down, doesn't matter by how much, it's red.
Yeah.
So, red, sell. I'm losing all my money. Well, you're not. Like, it's like what you mentioned about crypto the other week, where, some people say, oh no, it's down 5% today. Well, it's been up 10% or 8% every day for the last 2 weeks. And then you've just had a 5% correction, then people sell out of it.
And on the psychology front, most people, when they see red, they think sell, whereas the smart people think buy.
That's right.
And buy at a discount.
Buy at a discount. Yeah. Sell when it's on the way out.
It's the design, and that's probably why less people are engaged in investing. I would guess that people fear it.
They do. Because they've been told to.
Yeah. But you know what I found interesting? I found a stat. Do you know what percentage of Australians do you think gamble?
It'd be high.
Guess.
65%?
80%.
Yeah, okay.
80%.
Life's a gamble, bro.
But no, to me, because I would, and I haven't checked, but if I had to guess, I would say the percentage of Australians that have invested would be less than 80%.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. 100%. No, I agree with you. And I don't know do you know what the number is?
I don't know what the number. I'll check now. I got it on your phone, because I think that, and what troubles me, and this is what my mind can't wrap around it, if you're gambling because you like the heightened experience of the sport, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing it and you're thinking you're making money, you won't be. If you really were genuine with yourself, and if you listed on a spreadsheet your wins and losses, you would not be up, or if you were up, it'd be such a minuscule percentage, which I find interesting. So if you think it's investing, use that gambling money into something that is an investment, and you'll be miles.
Which is what I've done, really, because I used to be a fairly, I would class myself as not a heavy gambler, but I was betting often with small amounts of money on sports. And you're right, like I'd have really, really good days where I'd have big wins and they'd go up. But if you actually put it into a spreadsheet, overall, I'd be down, for sure.
Now, I have another theory about gambling, and I can't remember if I've spoken about this before, but there is a gambling mentality which is very different with the finances to an investor. And the example being, if someone is at the pub and we're watching the live sport and their bet comes through, their horse wins, they, hey, shout a round of drinks.
Yeah, because free money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if your stock rises and you sell at a massive profit, you don't, do you?
No.
You don't do that stuff. So what I'm saying is that your losses are losses, but your wins are costly because you tend to feel like it's free money. And that's by design. That is the whole emotion around it is by design. The way that these apps are, even the advertising for gambling apps is just so extreme and radical. Like it's a euphoric stage.
I've just found a ASX Australian Investor Study. Let's have a look too.
Because I saw the ETFs. They had someone on ABC talking about the amount of Australians invested in ETFs, and was 450,000 in 2019, went to 750,000 in 2020, and there's a lot of millennials, which I think is great. I think that people are understanding that there's different financial mechanisms.
I'm also hoping too that young people in particular are realizing that, unfortunately, because of the economic world that you've come into, there is a high chance that your property is not going to be your nest egg like it has been for previous generations, where they bought their house and that's been the nest egg at the end of like when they retire. And the retirement age will just keep going up, and there may not be a pension.
See, I am not worried about millennials at all. They're smart. They are far more savvy than what we give them credit for, because I think our generation and previous generations have thought millennials are slack and don't want to work. Everyone's thought that about the next generation coming up. But they've grown up in this digital world, and I think they're going to be absolutely fine, and they're probably going to be, they're going to make, well, the sheer fact that they're investing money that's not in property, I think is great.
Here we go. So key findings. So this is from 2020. So it's the first thing says the impact of COVID-19. 54% of people have made changes to their portfolios due to COVID-19.
Right.
But investing in 2020, so the total adult population of Australia is 19.4 million people. Of these, 46% or 9 million people, Australians hold investments outside their home and super.
There you go.
So that's interesting too, because it's half of what the gambling number is.
Half the gambling number.
Yeah. Now, with that gambling data, does that count those people who just put a bet on the Melbourne Cup every year? Because I know there's a lot of people out there who just go, that's their one thing, and they'll do that.
It was oh no, I think the article said something like semi-regular.
Oh, okay, yeah. That would make more sense.
I mean, I have gambled. It's not like I'm not adverse to gambling. Sorry, I am adverse.
Well, you just won a bet on Dogecoin from Liam.
Wager.
A wager.
That's a wager. It's not a bet. And the reason why I don't bet, to me, it's like a carnival game, right? Where you're trying to throw the ball into the clown's mouth, but you know that the ball looks too big to actually hit.
Yeah.
It's those kinds of shenanigans.
Yeah.
Where it's idiotic to me to think that the sports bet company they've got all the info. They've got all the data. They employ a team to gather the data so it benefits them. So I'm like, why am I adding liquidity to a market that's designed for me to lose? That, to me, that's the whole reason why I don't do it.
The only thing I still tend to win money on in sports betting now is the UFC, is MMA stuff.
Because it's
highly unpredictable.
Yeah.
There isn't as much data, and I don't think that it's still such a new sport. I don't think that the sports betting companies, like, one of the things I've noticed a lot, and this happens a lot, where you can get a lot of value with betting on fights is when a big name fighter is fighting an unknown guy. Because every single time the big name fighter will be the favorite.
Yeah.
Because it's the only one that everyone knows, so everyone puts the money on them.
Sure.
Some of these unknown guys are like Dagestani beasts, coming out who are just going
fighting bears for
right, and they just wipe the floor with these people, and oftentimes they're the underdog.
Sure.
So you can get a lot of value in that sort of stuff. The other thing is that what I have found really interesting, because I watch pretty much every UFC event because I love it. And I was watching a card with a mate of mine last weekend. Cracker of a card too, just crazy. But what I found
full of white people, was it?
Huh? No, there was actually a lot of Chinese fighters on the card.
Well, of course, that's where the money is.
And the majority of them lost. Only one of them won.
Well, yeah, that won't be shown on
no
mainland.
No,
Hong Kong.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But what I found really interesting is there's been a lot of times where I've been watching UFC card and they'll show the live odds in Vegas on that fight, and I go, oh, that guy's the underdog? Like, I'm going to go and bet on that because I know this guy's going to win. But then jump on sports bet and the odds are different. Right. So it's even interesting how country to country, it's because it's based on the betting trends and who's putting money on who as to where the favoritism goes. But yeah, there can be some value in that. But again, it is because it's such an unpredictable sport.
It's a gamble. It's a toss the coin.
It's a gamble, 50. For sure.
Yeah.
So, look, I do okay on that. So I was telling a mate of mine the other day, I generally, if I bet, I'll win money on the UFC and I'll give it back on the NRL. Because, again, the NRL, too unpredictable. I shouldn't even do it.
And you have a one-eye view of NRL as well. You have a skewed view.
In what way?
For the Broncos.
Do you think I bet on Broncos games? I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm a gambler, not a retard.
So, that's the whole reason why now I would rather because I understand the heightened feeling that you get when you've got something
Yeah.
wagered on it. I understand, and I think that is cool. That is a cool feeling, and it means more. And you're more, especially if you're watching the sport live, you're more.
You're skin in the game, so you're more engaged.
You're more engaged in it for sure. I just don't necessarily think that we need to give it to a third party.
No, I agree. And it gets back to the whole. It's the Warren Buffett saying of no one wants to get rich slow. And the reality situation is that unless you're one of these lightning rod people like an Elon Musk, who is that much of an innovative thinker and works 20 hours a day and just makes the dreams come true, the majority of us aren't that guy. So the majority of us, if we want to get rich, we got to get rich slow. And our getting rich slow is in ways of being smart with the money we're currently earning. And then trying to find a way to increase the amount of money that we currently earn, and then so whatever percentage that you're investing at the moment, as you increase your earnings, you increase your investment percentage, and then over time you will become wealthy. But the majority of us don't want to do that. We want the get rich quick scheme, same as losing weight. We want the the crash diet, the weight loss fad. That I'm going to go keto, like. We've said it a million times. The majority of things, if you want to have benefits in your life, it is good, considered decisions over a long period of time with discipline. That's all you got to do. I was telling you this morning, I've had a shit eating week. Right? Because I've just given into my food urges for a week. So I've got to get back on the pathway because, again, like, it is really easy to overeat by 2,000 calories in one day. You can't undereat by 2,000 calories the next day, from your basal metabolic rate.
Or you can.
Or if you just fast the entire day.
So you can.
You can.
Or you could burn 2,000 calories, which I think is about 10 hours on your salt.
Yeah.
For that one box of shakes.
Exactly. So that's the whole thing. Like, and I guess on that note as well too, it also means just because you've made a mistake, you've had a fat week, or you've bet on something stupid, Dogecoin, it doesn't mean that you jump off the horse. You just got to go, that was stupid. Now I'm back at it. Now I'm back. I'm back on the pathway again.
Get on the pathway. Get on the pathway. I think that is that's a solid bit of advice. But what I would challenge you gamblers out there. I don't want to say don't quit gambling because you're going to find it very hard. Challenge yourself to put half the amount you usually put in and just sit half somewhere else.
And
just see what that looks like. And then if you're really true to yourself, then race, go and look at, tabulate it. And then see what your bet half has done versus your save half. And
not save half, invest half.
Well, I was going to say...
Because I would say, for most people, the bet half is going to make more money than the save half at the moment.
No. Because if you're going to be down. You're going to be down.
Potentially, yeah. What I found, and you're exactly right, the mentality of gamblers is typically this. You'll make really good considered decisions and you win a little bit of money. But then that profit money that you get, you're like, well, this is free money, so I'm going to bet on more outlandish shit to try to 10x my money. Same as cryptos, right? People are like, I've made a little bit of money on Bitcoin because it's just steadily going up over a period of time. So now I'm going to invest in Cum Rockets, the new coin that was just released, and hope that it's going to 10x through the roof. And
I did a bit of research into Cum Rockets. Do you know what it is?
No.
It's NFTs for porn.
Oh, really?
It's going to come rockets. Think about what OnlyFans has done.
Right.
So now an artist could create an image or video as an NFT and sell it and transfer it and gather and get an ongoing income stream from that.
I'm going to buy some.
I think I'm going to buy some cummies. I think I need some cummies. That makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So, liberating artists. There you go.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But so what you're saying is...
Yeah, so instead of taking those winnings and thinking it's free money, you've got to treat it like you would treat an ETF, where you go, okay, I've made some profit off my low risk bets. So I'm going to take that profit and I'm going to invest it in more low risk bets with like lower risk, lower returns. But I'm just going to keep ramping that up because when I did that late last year, so I remember when I left my job, so like I'm not going to put any money in my sports bet account until I start earning again, and I made like $800 out of it because I was betting slow because I was betting on things that were like $1.30 that I knew were sure things. And I was just making little tiny bits, little incremental bits every single time. And then as it started to build, like I made a fair bit of money out of it and pulled some money out of the account. But the problem with gambling is like that thing that we spoke about, I think it was last week with Liam, where when your heart rate starts to go up, you start getting too excited and you go, oh yeah, I reckon this thing that's paying 4 to 1 is a chance.
Yeah.
I'm going to bet $20 on that. Oh, didn't come up. Oh, I'm still ahead. And then you start chasing, right? So
I would actually love a psychologist to break that down and love to, like, I think that's a great documentary to be able to follow a gambler and tabulate it and just see the psychological effects of it. Because I think it'd be really amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a good note to
for sure, finish up on.
So, whack in the comments. We'll shout out to developers. We would love to get to 50 subscribers.
Yep. Yeah,
we're
so
very
picked
close.
up a couple extras in the past week.
So if you know anyone that you think would be interested, get them to subscribe, comment below, like the app.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you next RDO.